For chapter 7, I'm actually going to explain the end and then to the start. So it ends with like, the world's best managers have shown you how to do this. And it's like, honestly, chapter 7 is really just like a whole summary of the whole book. So I'm summarizing the summary of the whole book. So it's kind of hard, and like, it gives me peace actually knowing that like, I really believe in like a lot of this. And like, I think that like, I am on the right track of growing in the right way for this. And I think that it's cool to see, as like, I really do want to move up in Dutch Bros. And as you can see, and like, as you've read with my stuff, like, it's worth it. And like, I think that just like reading this and just knowing like how I can fully like put this into action, I think it's a cool sense. And so like, it just like essentially at the very end of chapter 7, it was saying like, it doesn't offer to make your role, like this book doesn't offer to make your role easy, but it'll guide you and it'll help you start laying the foundation for a strong workplace. And I think that like, just implementing this like one person at a time, like really just can like guide and be like a good way for me to like truly see like the good in like what I'm going to do. And so then going back to the first part of this, it was saying like, maybe just like the interviewing for talent, and then performance management, keys of your own, and then master keys. And so essentially it goes, and like, each person is a unique leader no matter what. And I have mentioned this like over and over again, but honestly, like, each person is from a different background. Each person has their own parents. Each person has their own set of like every single thing they've done, and every single person is unique. And I think it's so cool because God made each person this way and puts each person in your life for a reason. And I strongly believe in that. And that's like one thing I really like look for and like listen in people, because I love listening about how people are different, and just like, because God gave each person their own mind, and it's just like crazy to see like how each person is just so different. I think it's just amazing. But like, really focusing on like them and who they are, and I just think that really just like shows it all in one. And so at the very beginning, it goes to the art of interviewing for talent, and like making sure you have the right questions, and like, and then it has like guides off of it, which is like, make sure the talent interview stands alone. So there's a talent interview, really just like getting to know who this person is, what they're doing, like if they're even like a good personality for the role, like will they fit in? Like there's so many things like that based on talent, like as it's just like your reoccurring doings. Like if that's not a good fit at the very beginning, like it's not going to be a good fit in general, just because they have this like specification on their resume. And so like their personality and their talents like need to combine with the exact role, which is the casting thing. And so like interviewing especially like comes in. So then also like the few open-ended questions, and then try to keep them quiet. Just like throw a question up in the air and kind of see how they answer it. Like I think it's really cool because each person obviously is going to answer differently, but like their ideas might align with yours more than another person's. And so like really just like whatever they say, like it really just said to, like, to believe them. And like if that's not what you agree with, like still believe them. Like that's like, I think that's gonna be the hardest thing for me as like a manager, like really just like believing someone and believing my employees, like because I don't have so many doubts, but sometimes there's beliefs that I don't align with. And so then like essentially just like if they have this view, like they have this view for a reason, and I should believe them because of this view. And so and the 3 was like listen for specifics. And so like just like knowing exactly like when someone is having a reoccurring talent compared to when they are just like, oh, it happened one time, rather than like, oh, it happened like yesterday. Like if someone can name like an exact time, place, detail, like yes, like it happened once, but does it happen every day? Like if you're looking for a recurrent talent, you want it to happen all the time. You don't want it to just happen once. And so I think that was like a big one that I didn't really notice, and like it really gave me like a guide of like how I could answer like interview questions better, also because like if I want to stand out, like it'll be like, and they want this for the job, like obviously it'll be recurring, it won't be just like a one-time thing. And so I think that was really cool to see. And then like there was just clues, and then to know what to listen for with those. And so just like off of that, it like kind of explained like an interview process and like how to do it good as a manager, and also it gave me like tips to do as an employee as well, which was really cool. Because like what essentially, if it's a good manager, like they want what's from this, and so as a good employee I can give them what a good manager wants. Essentially then it goes on to like having like self-discovery within like the employee, and that's essentially your main goal for all this. Like you want the employee to thrive and you want them to just succeed. So like self-discovery is amazing with like also them and you interacting like frequently, like focusing and like self-tracking, as they can like bring it to you and like show that their growth is like valuable for the company, and like that's essentially the main thing and what every single person wants. And so then it goes on like saying like strengths interview, and like how you can interview someone and really just like show your strengths. And I really enjoyed this, and I'm going to keep this because it's like even just like number 9 is like, what are the future growth and career goals? And like you can ask them this, and like you can ask them honestly any of these, like what do you think your strengths are, what about your weaknesses, like at any time. Like these can change, but they can also be so valuable. And so like just like each interview that you have with them, like say it's like once every quarter, as this said, like you can do once every year, but it needs to be more frequent than that. And essentially if you do once every quarter, have these 10 questions and then keep jotting notes down each time, like you can see them gradually grow and be like, it's just reassuring for you and for the employee, like if they're in the correct fit, and if they're not in the correct fit, then why are they here? And so, and then it goes on to the performance planning meetings, and like just like what actions have you taken, what discoveries and what partnerships have you built like within the company. And I think this is like a big role to like play, especially like as a manager. Like you, like I said, you want your people to like do good, like you want them to take good action, you want them to have good discoveries, you like self and through the company. And then also just like the partnerships, you want them to have good employees, you want them to like not be just like a loner in the job. So I think this was a really cool also idea. And then it had like a future kind of goal of that too. So like the first 10 minutes of an interview of like a meeting should be those questions, and then the next 3 would be like, what are your main focus, what discoveries are you planning to do, and then what new partnerships are you hoping to build. So based off those last 3, like growing from these 3, and then like next quarter you go and interview them again with the last 3, and essentially they like interlap over and over, which I think is a cool idea. And I really like how it like kind of guides you in a way, as like, yeah, like these can change depending on like what job you want, but like your main focus is like it's gonna have essentially the same like building blocks of it. And so, and then you go into like the career discovery questions, and it's saying like essentially like, do you think that this is a good role for you and like a good guide, and just like growing through you and like everything, like I don't know, it's just growing as an employee and as a manager like really just strengthens everyone. And so it's good to like have self-reflect on the job so you can know like how to be better in the future. And then as an employee, like you have keys of your own and then goals. And so like I think like the one like I mentioned, I think it was last chapter, that's like looking in the mirror. And I don't ever want to look at a brick wall, but the first key is looking in the mirror any chance you get. And if I don't have a mirror to look into, like am I really thriving? And so like even just like using like the tools that it gives me and the keys that it has, like as an employee right now where I'm at, like it'll grow me for the future. And so I think it was just cool to like see the employee side as well as it's like explaining all the manager side, and like just like essentially like if this all goes wrong, like here's your opportunity to like if they can't ever talk to you, like maybe it's not the right fit, if like just like all these things. And I just like I think it was just cool to like see a different side of like the book as it's like explaining all the manager side and the employees. And then it goes on to saying, like, essentially, like, the golden rule is, like, treat others how you want to be treated. Essentially, like, as a manager and as an employee, like, each person has an unlimited potential, and just, like, treating them as, like, they have that, like, they can grow into, like, enormous ways. Like, it'll surprise you no matter what, because, like, someone will accomplish something that you would never have thought of. And I think it's just, like, really cool to see that. And then just, like, defining every single role within the company, valuing every single role within the company as well with that, because defining it and valuing it is two different things, but also both so important. And then just, like, studying, like, your employees, like, just knowing your people and who you're working with, like, really just makes the company valuable. And then, like, as this, like, be teachable, but also, like, teach others. And I think that was, like, a good, like, last thing. Like, it's, like, teach the language of great managers, like, strong company, like, turn it into common language. And I think that just in general, like, this is a good rule to follow, is, like, if you see someone doing amazing, like, why would you want to just, like, ignore it and never, like, have that go into the future? Because, like, it's just really cool to see as, like, in a perspective, like, if I think my manager's doing amazing, like, I would want to be like my manager. Or if I think, like, my shift lead's doing really good, like, I want to be like them. The same with a manager. Like, say I'm doing really good and he sees that in me, he'll want to then acknowledge it, and then also, like, make sure people are noticing it and, like, follow that through, like, things like that. I just think that just, like, good leadership is, like, always able to be, like, replicated, and but in, like, a unique way. And so I think it's just really cool to, like, see how this chapter, like, really just tied the entire book together, but as a manager's way and an employee's way, because it makes both people feel valuable in their own certain way. And so I really liked this chapter.